Okay, salam sejahtera. So untuk slot ini kita akan bincang tentang past year, okay, untuk gabungan 9.1, 9.2, 9.3 termasuk juga dengan 9.4 which is the implicit differentiation. So mari kita tengok ya soalan untuk implicit dengan rules of differentiation. So ini adalah contoh ya untuk differentiation. So soalan yang saya bincang ini adalah soalan past year. So mari kita tengok apa yang boleh kita dapat untuk soalan ini.
So given y is equals to ax plus b over x squared, where a and b are constant and x cannot be equals to 0. Find the first derivative and the second derivative, hence show that the function is equals to 0. So before I start the discussion, I'm going to modify the situation for y. So where we have y is equals to ax plus b x to the power negative 2.
So apa tujuannya saya modify soalan ni? Supaya memudahkan kita untuk differentiate situasi ini.
Next, I'm going to differentiate the situation with respect to x. So where we have dy dx equals to a minus 2b x to the power negative 3. So we write the situation and we will have dy dx is equals to a minus 2b over x cubed.
So rujuk kepada soalan ni, ini adalah soalan apa? Soalan rules of differentiation. Okay, polinomial.
Next, I'm going to further the discussion by finding the second derivative. Differentiate the first derivative and we will have second derivative. Differentiate a, where a is a constant, so we will get 0. Differentiate negative 2b x to the power negative 3 and we will have 6b x to the power negative 4. Rewrite the situation. So we will have second derivative equals to 6b over x to the power of 4. So here we have the first derivative and we have the second derivative. Hence, shows that we have x squared bracket, second derivative will be 6b over x to the power 4 plus 2x multiplied with the first derivative where we have a minus 2b over x to the power of 3 minus 2y, where y will be ax plus b over x squared. So expand the situation. So we will have 6b.
So beri perhatian ya, soalan minta saya show. So apa yang saya buat adalah saya ambil dy dx dengan kita punya second derivative dan saya substitute. Okay, so di sini beri perhatian ya, saya tak tulis equals to 0 terus. Okay, sebab saya belum lagi show situasi itu. So apa yang saya perlu buat sekarang adalah saya expand dan saya tengok keadaan.
Over x to the power of 2 plus 2ax minus 4b over x squared minus 2ax minus 2b over x squared. So kindly refer to the situation. 6b over x squared minus with 4b we will have 2b over x squared minus with the 2b over x squared we will have 0. Next we have 2ax minus with a 2ax and finally we will have equals to 0. So we can say that x squared multiplied with the second derivative plus 2x multiplied with the first derivative minus 2y is equals to 0.
Okay, so harap you belajar sesuatu ya, cara nak show. Okay, so rujuk semula example yang sebelum ini, ada proof, ada show. So tengok semula apa strategi yang saya guna untuk menjawab soalan macam ni. Okay, so kita nampak ya, soalan ni kita ada masalah A, kita ada masalah B. So kalau nak cari A dengan B, kita mesti kena ada dua equation.
So now we are looking into B. Find the value of a and b if y is equals to 3. Y prime, or we said the dy dx is equals to negative 6 when x is equals to 1. So here we have the information. So now I'm going to substitute the value into a. So kindly refers to equation 1. So we have 3 is equals to a plus b. So we name it as equation 3. Next, I'm going to substitute the equation 2 as well. So where we have the negative 6 is equals to a minus 2b. where we have the equation 4. So simultaneous equation. So now I'm going to make use of equation 3 minus with the equation 4 so that we can eliminate the variable a. So 3 minus 4, so we will have 3 minus with the negative 6, and we will have 9 equals to a minus a, 0, b minus with negative 2b, and we will have 3b. So where b will be equals to 3. Kindly substitute the value b equals to 3 into equation 3. So we will have 3 equals to a plus 3. So a will be equals to 0. So the question asks us to find the value a and b. So in here, a will be equals to 0 and b will be equals to 3.
Okay, so saya haraplah ya tiada masalah. So apa yang saya nak bincang untuk soalan ni adalah cara nak show situasi ini. So kita teruskan lagi soalan yang berkenaan dengan show. So kalau rujuk ya, soalan ni pun soalan show. Mari kita tengok bagaimana untuk show.
So if the function given and the question asks us to show the left hand side is equals to 0. So let us begin with the function y is equals to e to the power negative x ln x. So notice that on the right hand side we have two elements and we are going to differentiate by using the product rule. So let this one become u and ln x become v. So at first dy dx equals to v where we have ln x. Differentiate the u and we will have e to the power negative x. Differentiate the power and we will have negative 1 plus e to the power of x. Differentiate ln x and we will have 1 over x. So now simplify the situation. Dy dx equals to negative e negative ln x plus e negative x bracket. We have x to the power negative 1. So now I'm going to proceed with the second derivative.
Okay, so kalau you tengok sini, apa yang saya buat adalah product rule. So nampak tak tricks and tips untuk soalan product rule ini? Saya tak nyatakan UV dengan detail, saya straightforward iaitu salin yang belakang, differentiate yang depan, salin yang depan, differentiate yang belakang. Okay, teruskan. Kenapa saya tak ringkaskan straightforward dan saya modify situasi itu? Sebab saya nak memudahkan urusan saya untuk dapatkan second derivative. Kenapa saya perlu dapatkan second derivative? So tuan-tuan puan-puan kena rujuklah di sini. Terlambat kita nak dapatkan first derivative dengan second derivative. Okay, teruskan.
So differentiate dy dx, so we will have second derivative equals to let the negative e to the power negative x as a u, ln x as a v. So ln x bracket, we have negative e to the power negative x multiply with negative 1 plus negative e to the power negative x, differentiate ln x and we will have 1 over x. Next, we are going to focus u and this one as a v plus x to the power negative 1, differentiate e to the power negative x and we will have e to the power negative x negative 1 plus e to the power negative x, differentiate x to the power negative 1 and we will have negative 1 over x square.
So yang ini adalah cadangan. Faham tak? Adalah cadangan. Kalau you ni nampak apa yang berlaku adalah you boleh anggap ini sebagai y. Okay, you boleh anggap ini sebagai y. Kalau you nampak lah ya, eksponen power negative x ln x sebenarnya adalah y. Sekiranya you nampak, you boleh straightforward ganti, then you differentiate dia, you akan dapat dy dx. Sekiranya. Macam saya tak. Okay, saya teruskan differentiation saya dengan product rule untuk bahagian hijau dengan bahagian merah. Kemudian mungkin saya tak nampak situasi, so apa yang saya perlu buat adalah saya perlu ringkaskan keadaan. Okay, so tengok saya cuba ringkaskan keadaan. Okay, dan ini yang saya nampak lah bila saya ringkaskan keadaan. Kemudian saya perlu rujuk semula kepada soalan dan bertindak ikut kehendak soalan.
Now we have to check actually what is dy dx. So dy dx actually equals to negative e to the power negative x ln x plus e to the power negative x over x. So kindly refer, okay, to this first derivative and try to match with this one. So what we have to do is to factor out the negative. So we will have the second derivative equals to negative bracket. We have negative e to the power negative x ln x plus e to the power negative x over x. So try to match this expression with this one. And we notice that it is a dy dx. So kindly substitute the situation. So we have negative dy dx. So rearrange the situation so that we can get this one. So second derivative plus the first derivative equals to negative e negative x over x minus e negative x over x squared. Then we are going to multiply both sides with x squared. So where we will have x squared bracket second derivative plus with the first derivative equals to negative x e to the power negative x minus e to the power negative x. So if we factor out the situation, so we will have negative e to the power negative x bracket. So we will have x plus 1 for the right hand side. So kindly rearrange to fulfill the situation. So finally, we have x squared bracket second derivative plus the first derivative plus e to the power negative x bracket x plus 1 equals to 0. So kindly refer to the question and we can say the situation has been shown.
Okay, so you dah tengok soalan show tadi saya buat apa? Saya dapat, kemudian saya substitute. Betul? First derivative dengan second derivative saya dapat, saya substitute. Untuk soalan yang sebelum ni. Untuk soalan ni, saya buat daripada soalan itu straight forward ke jawapan. So, harap you nampak lah ya cara-cara kaedah untuk menjawab soalan show ini. So, seterusnya kita akan bincang tentang soalan macam mana nak differentiate. Okay, differentiate biasa. Rules of differentiation. So, kita ada contoh di sini, differentiate tangent. Okay, untuk trigo. So, ingat ada berapa layer differentiation.
So find the dy dx for the situation A. So before we start the differentiation, so better I rewrite the situation. So y will be equals to tangent bracket x to the power 3 plus 2. We have cube. So actually it's the same. So now we are going to start our discussion. So differentiate the y respect to x. So we will have dy dx equals to 3 bracket tangent x cubed plus 2. So we have power 2. Next we are going to differentiate the tangent x cubed plus 2 with respect to x. And we will have dy dx equals to 3 tangent bracket x to the power 3 plus 2 power 2. Differentiate tangent and we will have second square bracket x plus 3 plus 2. Again, we are going to differentiate x to the power 3 plus 2 with respect to x. So we will have dy dx equals to 3 tangent square bracket x to the power 3 over plus 2 second square x to the power 3 plus 2 differentiate x cubed plus 2 and we will have 3x square.
Okay, so you nampak bila saya tulis semula rewrite, saya nampak layer pertama, layer kedua, layer ketiga. Okay, so bila saya dah ringkaskan macam ni semua ni, so ingat tulis betul-betul supaya dia dapat simplest form. Itu saja yang paling penting.
Rearrange and simplify the situation. So we will have 9x square bracket tangent square x cubed plus 2 second square x cubed plus 2. So now we are going to discuss B. So we are going to differentiate the left hand side with respect to x. Differentiate sign and we will have cos bracket x minus y. Further with differentiate x minus y with respect to x equals to right hand side we are going to differentiate with the product rule. So let y equals to u and cos x equals to v. So what we are going to do is v differentiate with y respect to x plus with u differentiate cos x with respect to x. So next, cos x minus y differentiate x minus y. So we will have 1 minus dy dx. equals to v. In here, v actually equals to cos x bracket differentiate y, so we will have dy dx plus u. So in here, u actually equals to y, differentiate cos x, so we will have negative sin x, differentiate x, we will have 1.
Ya, kalaulah you kurang confident tentang macam mana nak differentiate kan, saya ada satu cadangan, iaitu bila you contoh you tengok you nak differentiate benda ini, betul? So differentiate sin, you dapat cos. Okay, siap. Bila you tak nampak sangat, you boleh tulis bahasa dia, iaitu sekarang you nak differentiate benda ini respect to x, seperti yang saya tulis. Kemudian teruskan v. Okay, kemudian ini adalah apa? U prime kan? So kalau you tak nampak, you boleh tulis differentiate y respect to x. Then teruskan lagi u, differentiate cos, okay, respect to x. Kalau macam tu, you boleh faham arahan tu, saya rasa tak akan buat silap lah. So belajar ya, belajar. Macam-macam strategi ada. So harap anda berlatih. Okay, iaitu differentiate guna product rule tu straightforward. Termasuk implicit differentiation.
We write the situation. So cos bracket x minus y, 1 minus dy dx equals to cos x dy dx minus y sin x. So kindly rearrange so that dy dx become the subject. So we will have cos x minus y minus with dy dx bracket cos x minus y equals to cos x dy dx minus y sin x. So rearrange and simplify. So we will have cos bracket x minus y plus y sin x equals to cos x bracket dy dx plus cos bracket x minus y dy dx. So factorize the dy dx bracket. So we will have cos x plus cos x minus y equals to cos x minus y plus y sin x. So finally, dy dx will be equals to cos x minus y plus y sin x over cos x plus cos x minus y.
Okay, so bagi saya lah, walaupun dia differentiation, dia bukan yang complicated, dia bukan show apa-apa pun, you kena pandai untuk differentiate straightforward. Okay, differentiate straightforward. Kemudian kena mahir lah, dapat pengalaman, lepas tu susun semula dan tengok soalan tu. So bagi saya, kalau you kaji, sudah pasti tiada masalah untuk differentiation. So seterusnya kita akan tengok soalan tentang implicit pula ya, implicit juga. So dia agak complicated sikit sebab dia bukan setakat differentiate, dia kena main dengan number, substitute, lepas tu kena cuba untuk ringkaskan. Mari kita tengok. Okay, so soalan macam ni, okay, buat remark. Sebenarnya dia nak you cari apa? Dia nak you cari dy dx. Tapi cara dia bertanya agak luar biasa sikit.
So let the x square y squared plus 2xy plus 4y equals to 4. Find the value of a, b, and c if the first derivative is equals to the right hand side. So what we have to do is to differentiate or find the first derivative. So now I'm going to focus the x squared multiplied with y squared. So let x squared become u and y squared become v. By using the product rule, I'm going to differentiate the situation y squared followed by differentiate the u where we will have 2x plus x squared. Next I'm going to differentiate the v where we will have 2y dy dx plus 2. Again, let the u become x and v as a y. So bracket, we have y multiplied with 1 because we differentiate the u, which is x, plus x, differentiate the v, we will have dy dx, plus differentiate 4y, we will have 4 dy dx, and then finally equals to 0 because differentiate constant, we obtain 0. Kindly simplify the situation on the left. So we will have 2xy squared plus 2x squared y dy dx plus with 2y plus 2x dy dx plus with 4 dy dx. Kindly rearrange and make sure the dy dx as a subject. So let's transfer the terms without dy dx to the right. And then factorize the dy dx for the left hand side. So where we will have dy dx bracket 2x squared y plus 2x plus 4 equals to negative 2y negative 2xy squared. So finally we have dy dx equals to negative 2y minus 2xy squared over 2x squared y plus 2x plus 4. Simplify or factorize the situation so that it matches with the questions. So where we have dy dx equals to negative 2y bracket. So we will have 1 plus with xy over, focus on the denominator, we have x. So we are going to factor out the x. So we will have 2x y plus 2 plus with 4. So kindly notice that here we have xy. So meaning that we have to factor out the 2. So we have dy dx equals to negative 2y bracket 1 plus xy over 2x bracket xy plus 1 plus with 4. So if we simplify the situation, and finally we will have dy dx equals to negative y bracket 1 plus xy over x bracket xy plus 1 plus with 4. So by comparing these two situations, we have a which is equals to negative 1, b will be equals to 1, and c will be equals to 4.
Okay, so nampak situasi ni. So sebenarnya saya boleh kata show that. Betul? Saya boleh kata show that. So dia lebih kurang sama. Apa yang anda perlu faham adalah sebenarnya anda perlu mahir untuk differentiate benda-benda yang diberi. Okay, dengan terus terang lagi senang nak faham adalah ikut arahan. Okay, ikut arahan. So sini kena mohon perhatian ya. Sebab saya factor out the two. Bila saya factor out the two, kalau you nampak ya di sini saya nak simplify kan, betul? So sebenarnya ini pun terlibat juga. So saya kena factor out the two. So sepatutnya negative 2y bla 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 over 2x plus with the 2. Faham? Maksudnya kalau saya simplify, ini pun kena simplify juga. So akhirnya sini adalah 2. Okay, C saya adalah 2. Okay, teruskan. So seterusnya kita nak cari second derivative. So dalam banyak-banyak ini, okay, dalam banyak-banyak ini, apa yang anda perlu tahu adalah kena pilih benda yang betul untuk start differentiate for the second derivative.
Now we're going to discuss B. Determine the value of the second derivative at the...
Okay, so kalau you nampak ya, saya ambil situasi ini. So saya tak nak differentiate benda ini untuk second derivative. Boleh juga untuk mula di sini. Okay, mula di sini. Saya tak nak, saya nak mula di sini. Sebab saya nak cuba elak daripada quotient rule.
Point with the coordinate 2, 2. So before we further our discussion, I'm going to factor or simplify the situation. So we have to factor out the 2. So we have x squared y plus x plus 2 first derivative equals to, we are going to factor out the 2. So we will have 2 bracket negative xy squared minus y. So if we simplify, we will have x squared y plus x plus 2 bracket y prime equals to negative xy squared minus y. So now I'm going to start the discussion. That is, find the second derivative. So let this one as a u and this one as a v. So we will have y prime bracket y bracket 2x plus x squared y prime.
Okay, so beri perhatian ya. So sini saya guna product rule. Salin belakang, differentiate depan. Salin depan, differentiate belakang. Okay, kemudian differentiate ini dapat 1, differentiate ini dapat 0. Okay, so yang inilah maksud saya tricks dengan tips tu untuk product rule.
Plus, we have x squared y plus x plus 2. Differentiate the y prime, we will have y double prime, which is a second derivative, equals to, we have y squared bracket negative 1 plus negative x bracket 2y y prime minus y prime. Next, I'm going to expand the situation. So we will have 2xy y prime plus x squared bracket y prime square plus with the y prime plus bracket x squared y plus x plus 2 y double prime, which is the second derivative, meaning that this is our target. equals to negative y squared minus 2xy y prime minus y prime. So next what I'm going to do is to substitute the value. So in here we have x equals to 2 and y equals to 2. The next value that we are going to find would be the y prime. So now I'm going to substitute the value into this part. So where we will have 2 bracket 4 bracket multiple with 2 plus 4 plus with another 4, we have y prime equals to negative 2 bracket 4 multiplied with 2 multiplied with 4. So with the help of the calculator, here we will have 4 multiple 2, 8, multiple with 2 we have 16, plus with 4 we have 20, plus with 4 we have 24. So 24y prime equals to 4 multiple with 2 we have 8, multiple with negative 2 we have negative 16, minus with negative 4 we have negative 20. So y prime will be equals to negative 20 over 24. So finally, y prime will be equals to negative 5 over 6. So now we have the value x equals to 2, y equals to 2, and y prime equals to negative 5 over 6. So let's substitute the value. So let's substitute the value into the situation. So where we will have 2 multiple 2, we have 4 multiple with 2, we have 8y prime plus with 4y prime square plus with the y prime plus with bracket 2 squared we have 4 multiple with 2 we have 8 plus 2 plus with 2, so plus 4 second derivative equals to negative 4 minus 2 multiple with 2 we have 4 multiple with negative 2 we have negative 8y prime minus with y prime. Simplify the situation, we will have 8y prime plus with this y prime, so we will have 9y prime plus 4 bracket y prime square plus we have 12y double prime equals to negative 4 negative 9y prime. So simplify the situation by substituting the value negative. So now by substituting the value of y prime in order to determine the y double prime, which is the second derivative. So we will have 9 bracket with negative 5 over 6 plus with 4 bracket negative 5 over 6 square plus 12 second derivative equals to negative 4 minus 9 bracket with negative 5 over 6. After we multiply, we are having negative 15 over 2 plus 25 over 9 plus 12 second derivative equals to 7 over 2. So finally, simplify the situation. So we will have 12 second derivative equals to 7 over 2 plus 15 over 2 minus 25 over 9. So 12 second derivative will be equals to 74 over 9. So finally, second derivative will be equals to 74 over 9 divided by 12. So at the end, we will have 37 over 54.
Okay, so untuk soalan macam ni, sekadar nak bagi tahulah, okay, ini adalah kaedah saya lah untuk menjawab soalan ni. Sekiranya you ada cara yang lebih ringkas, you boleh teruskanlah dengan cara anda. So untuk soalan macam ni, dia punya kesukaran dia adalah pada masa yang sama, anda perlu nampak, perlu teliti benda-benda yang anda differentiate, kemudian anda perlu susun strategi, nak substitute dulu ke, nak substitute kemudian ke nak differentiate yang mana satu. So saya dah share pengalaman saya lah ya. Kalau boleh buat yang produk, elak yang quotient. So kalau boleh cuba susun strategi anda supaya anda boleh guna kalkulator untuk bantu anda dalam pengiraan. Okay, so itu adalah untuk contoh inilah. So kita akan teruskan lagi dengan perbincangan yang seterusnya, iaitu untuk soalan yang seterusnya. Masih sama nak cari dy dx. Okay, nak cari dy dx. Okay, untuk soalan implicit differentiation. So cuma nak tambah pengalaman anda.
So given the function y cubed equals to ln bracket x cubed multiplied with y squared for x greater than 0, y greater than 0, then find the dy dx when y is equals to 1. So before we start to find the first derivative, my advice is to find the value of x when y is equals to 1. So by substituting the value into the function, so we have 1 equals to ln bracket x cubed. So we will have e to the power of 1 equals to x cubed. So x will be equals to cube root of e power of 1. So x will be equals to e to the power of 1 over 3, where y is equals to 1. Next, I'm going to find the first derivative. So before we find the derivative, we have to make use of the properties or the law of log. So y cubed will be equals to ln. So by using the properties, ln mn actually equals to ln m plus ln n. So meaning that in here we have ln x to the power of 3 plus ln y to the power of 2. Make use of the properties of log. So we can bring forward.
Okay, so untuk soalan macam ni biasanya melibatkan ln kan, gunalah, okay, law of log. So jangan straightforward differentiate, guna product rule macam tu kan, dia akan complicated. So lebih baik anda ingat semula, okay, ingat semula properties
Forward the power. So y to the power of 3 equals to 3 ln x plus 2 ln y. Next, we're going to differentiate the situation with respect to x. Differentiate y cubed. So we will have 3y squared dy dx equals to 3 differentiate ln x, we will have 1 over x plus 2 differentiate ln y, we will have 1 over y, add on the dy dx. So finally, what we have to do is to simplify the situation, or we can substitute the value into the situation. So we have 3 dy dx equals to 3 1 over e to the power of 1 over 3 plus 2 dy dx. So rearrange and simplify the situation. So 3 dy dx minus 2 dy dx. So we will have dy dx equals to 3 e to the power negative 1 over 3. Or we can say dy dx will be equals to 2.1496 or approximate 2.1.
Okay, so harap anda nampaklah situasi ni. Sebenarnya sini ada 3 dy dx, sini ada 2 dy dx. So kalau you transfer, you akan dapat dy dx saja. Sebab 3 tolak 2. Okay, so yang ini saya tulis mula. Ingat, indices telah bawa naik ke atas jadi negatif. Okay, so ini adalah contoh dia lah untuk implicit differentiation. Harap pengalaman anda, okay, harap pengalaman anda tu lah ada tambah sikit. Kemudian kita teruskan lagi dengan soalan show. Masih sama soalan show. Okay, nampak soalan show. So macam mana kita nak jawab? Nak guna substitution ke straightforward daripada soalan terus differentiate sehingga dapat jawapan.
So let y equals to x multiply with ln x to the power of 2. Where x must be greater than 0, show that the situation for the left hand side is equals to 2x. So first I'm going to differentiate the situation and let x as a u, ln x squared as a v. So where we have dy dx is equals to ln x square, differentiate x, we will have 1 plus x bracket differentiate ln x square. So we will have 2 bracket ln x to the power of 1. Differentiate ln x and we will have 1 over x, and then differentiate x, we will have 1. So simplify the situation. So dy dx equals to ln x square equals to ln x square plus 2 ln x. Next, what I'm going to do is to differentiate for the second time. So differentiate dy dx, we will have the second derivative equals to 2 bracket ln x to the power 1 bracket 1 over x multiple with 1 plus 2 differentiate ln x, and we will have 1 over x and then multiple with 1. Kindly simplify the situation. So second derivative will be equals to 2 ln x over x plus 2 over x. Next, I'm going to substitute the first derivative and the second derivative into the situation. So where we will have x squared bracket second derivative, so 2 ln x over x plus 2 over x minus x dy dx, where we have ln x bracket square plus 2 ln x plus with the y. So expand the situation.
Okay, so tengok sampai sini saya tak terus tulis 2x. Okay, tidak sebab saya belum dapat lagi 2x. So apa yang saya perlu buat adalah expand, kemudian saya simplify. Tengok dapat tak 2x. Kalau dapat 2x maksudnya dapat show. Okay, so beri perhatian cara nak show itu.
So we will have 2x ln x plus 2x minus x bracket ln x bracket square minus 2x ln x. In here, y, we have x bracket ln x square. So kindly observe the situation. 2x ln x minus with 2x ln x, we will have 0. Negative x ln x square minus or plus with the x ln x square. So finally, x square second derivative minus with x first derivative plus with the y, and we will have 2x. So shown.
Okay, so nampak so rasanya dah banyak soalan kot kita bincang tentang show. So harap anda kumpul kemudian kaji semula macam mana saya buat soalan show dengan soalan proof. Okay, mohonnya kaji. Benda ini penting untuk differentiation. So kita akan teruskan lagi dengan soalan yang seterusnya iaitu rules of differentiation. Okay, so kita sekarang dapat soalan yang ln. Okay, dapat soalan yang ln. So kena beri perhatian lah, beri perhatian. Apa strategi yang saya akan guna untuk menyelesaikan soalan macam ni?
Find the dy dx when x equals to 0. For the first situation, y is equals to ln bracket x plus square root of x squared plus 1. So before I further the discussion, let us determine the value of y. If x is equals to 0, so we will have y equals to ln bracket 1. So y equals to ln 1, meaning that y will be equals to 0. So next we are going to differentiate the situation. So before we differentiate, it is better for us to modify the situation. So we will have e to the power of y equals to x plus square root of x squared plus 1. Or we can say e to the power of y equals to x plus bracket x squared plus 1 to the power of 1 over 2.
Okay, so nampak tak apa strategi saya? Okay, biasanya saya jawab soalan ln ini. Okay, saya dapat jawab soalan ln ini adalah bila saya dapat ln, lepas tu dalam tu ada satu benda. So kalau saya nampak ini, dalam tu ada x, dalam tu ada square root kan, rasa macam pelik. So apa yang saya boleh buat adalah saya bagi cadangan lah, iaitu saya transform from the log form jadi indices form. Okay, supaya saya rasa confident sikit, iaitu saya boleh tahu nak differentiate exponent, saya boleh tahu nak differentiate polynomial, yang ini pun polynomial dengan biasa. So elak pada situasi ini. So tadi kita dah bincang ya, kalau nampak complicated, kita boleh guna law atau rules of log untuk bantu kita split the situation. Kalau macam ni saya tak dapat split, so saya tukar jadi format yang lain iaitu index form. Baru saya mula differentiate.
Let us differentiate the situation with respect to x. Differentiate e to the power of y, and we will have e to the power of y. Differentiate the power y, we will have dy dx equals to, differentiate the x, we will have 1. Differentiate the square root of x squared plus 1, we will have 1 over 2 bracket x squared plus 1 power of negative 1 over 2. Multiply with the differentiation x squared plus 1, and we will have 2x. Simplify the situation. E to the power of y bracket dy dx equals to 1 plus with x over square root of x squared plus 1. So in order to find the first derivative, we have to substitute the value into y and x. So if x equals to 0, y also equals to 0. So e to the power of 0 bracket dy dx equals to 1 plus 0 over 1. So e to the power of 0, we will have 1. So meaning that dy dx equals to 1. Now we are going to discuss the second situation. So as usual, before we further our discussion in the differentiation, it is better for us to determine the value of y.
Okay, so tadi punya soalan saya dah tunjuk ya, daripada log form tukar jadi index form. Kalau untuk soalan ni pula, saya rasa macam banyak sangatlah benda. Di atas ada exponent, ada polynomial, di bawah pun ada fraction, macam-macam kan. So, apa strategi yang boleh kita guna? Selain pada, you dapat soalan tu, you terus differentiate.
If the value of x is equals to 0, meaning that y is equals to e to the power of 0, bracket 1 over 1. So finally, y will be equals to 1. Next, we are going to differentiate the situation. So before we start differentiate, we need to modify the situation. So my suggestion would be cross multiply the square root of x plus 1. So we will have square root of x plus 1 multiplied with y is equals to e to the power of 2x, bracket 2x cubed plus 1.
Untuk soalan ni, cadangan saya iaitu yang pertama, seperti yang saya tunjuk di sini, saya cross multiply, kemudian saya nak guna product rule. Lagi satu cadangan adalah saya cadangkan ln both side. Kemudian guna properties atau law atau rules of indices, Kemudian guna law atau rules atau properties untuk lock, untuk kita splitkan mereka supaya hidup kita senang sikit. Okay, itu cadangan saya. Mari kita teruskan.
In the form of x plus 1 to the power 1 over 2, y equals to e to x bracket 2x to the power 3 plus 1. So by using the product rule, we're going to differentiate the situation. Y bracket 1 over 2 bracket x plus 1 to the power of negative 1 over 2. Differentiate the internal function, which is x plus 1, and we will have 1. Plus x plus 1 to the power 1 over 2, differentiate y, and we will have dy dx. Equals to, next we are going to focus where this is u and this is v. Differentiate the situation, we are going to use the product rule, where we will have 2x to the power 3 plus 1. Differentiate e to the power of 2x, so we will have e to the power of 2x, focus on the power, differentiate the power, and we will have 2. Plus e to the power of 2x, differentiate 2x cubed plus 1, and we will have 6x squared. So simplify the situation, where we will have y over 2 square root of x plus 1 plus square root of x plus 1 dy dx equals to 2e to the power of 2x bracket 2x to the power of 3 plus 1. Finally, plus 6x squared e to the power of 2x. Substitute the value, x equals to 0 and y equals to 1 in order to determine the first derivative. So if we substitute the value, so we will have.
Okay, so kalau boleh nyatakan dulu, nyatakan dulu. So kalau you nyatakan, you boleh terus. Faham tak? You boleh terus. Iaitu contohnya saya boleh tulis 1 over 2. Kalau saya lah, okay, dengan rules of differentiation, yang mana satu yang you nak ambil untuk menjawab soalan ini. Okay, so kita akan teruskan lagi soalan yang seterusnya, iaitu soalan tentang trigo. So soalan ni anda boleh letak remark. Okay, kadang-kadang pelajar dia tak faham soalan dia. Dia tak nampak macam mana nak buat benda ni. So saya ambil contoh.
A, by writing the tangent equals to sine over cos. Show that differentiate the tangent x respect to x is equals to secant x, secant square x. Show that differentiate the tangent x with respect to x is equals to secant square x. Hence, find the differentiation of the tangent bracket cos to x respect to x. So first, differentiate tangent x, where tangent x is equals to sine x over cos x. Let us represent it as u and this one as v. By using the quotient rule, we have v, which is cos x, then differentiate sine x, we will have cos x minus u, where u will be sine x. Differentiate the v, which is cos x, and we will have negative sine x over v squared, where we have cos x bracket squared. Expand the situation, so we have cos square x plus with sine square x over cos square x. As we all know, based on the basic identity in the trigonometry, cos square x plus sine square x, which is equals to 1. So finally, we have 1 over cos square x. Based on the trigo ratio, 1 over cos square x is equals to secant square x. So finally, differentiate the tangent x respect to x is equals to secant square x.
Okay, so harap you nampak macam mana show. So di sini termasuk juga trigo. Ingat basic identity trigo iaitu cos square x plus sin square x equals to 1. Okay, kemudian dia kata hence, maksudnya guna konsep yang ada di sini untuk menjawab soalan ini. Okay, untuk menjawab soalan ini. Maksudnya jangan risau, buat macam biasa je, layer by layer. Ada tangent, ada cos, ada 2x. Satu persatu. Okay, so kalau you tengok sini dia kata differentiate benda ini. So fokus yang luar ni, differentiate tangent dapat apa? Dapat secant square. Okay, secant square, kemudian benda ini salin. Siap, kita masuk ke sini, differentiate cos, kita dapat negative sin. Benda yang sama, kita salin dalam ni. Okay, teruskan, differentiate 2x, then kita dapat apa? Kita dapat 2. So, tulis semula apa yang ada. So, kita dapat apa? Kita dapat benda ini. Okay? Itu yang paling ringkas yang boleh kita buat. So, kita teruskan lagi dengan soalan yang seterusnya, iaitu bahagian B.
Bracket 2xy equals to x plus cos bracket x y squared. Evaluate the dy dx when y is equals to 0. So first, my suggestion would be identify the value of 0 before we start our discussion. So if y will be equals to 0, we will have sine 0 equals to x plus cos 0. So as we all know, if sine 0, we will obtain the value 0. For cos 0, it will be equals to 1. So x will be equals to negative 1. So meaning that when y is equals to 0, x will be equals to negative 1. So now let us start our discussion, which is finding the first derivative. So if we differentiate the sine bracket 2xy, so we will have cos bracket 2xy. Next, we are going to differentiate the internal function, which is 2xy. So 2x will become u, and y will become v. So we will have y bracket 2 plus 2x. Differentiate y, we will have dy and dx. Equals to differentiate x, we will have 1. Differentiate cos, we will have negative sine xy squared. Let the u as a x and v for the y squared. So bracket, we have y squared bracket 1 plus x, differentiate y squared, we will have 2y dy and dx.
Okay, so haraplah ya melalui tempat ini you boleh nampak ya macam mana kita differentiate tu. So that's why saya kata product rule dengan quotient rule, dia punya tricks dengan tips tu sangat penting untuk chapter ni. So kita tidak lagi tulis UV lepas tu differentiate satu persatu kan. Yang itu akan memeningkan situasi. So kalau you latih, saya rasa you boleh buat macam saya buat ini. Okay, so lebih senang. Tapi ingat kena fokus. Bila you differentiate, dia kena fokus. Depan dengan belakang. Depan dengan belakang. Belakang dengan depan. Benda itulah yang you perlu latih. So kita teruskan ya. Kita teruskan. Seterusnya nak buat apa? Kita tengok soalan nak kita cari dy dx. When y equals to 0, x equals to negative.
Cos 0 multiply with 2 bracket with 0 plus 2 multiply with negative 1, and then we have y prime equals to 1 minus sine bracket 0 multiply with 0 plus 0. So for this case, the whole thing will become 0. For this one, we will have 1 multiply with 0. So we will have negative 2y prime equals to 1. So from here, we notice that we will have negative 2y prime equals to 1. So the first derivative, or we said the dy dx will be equals to negative 1 over 2.
Okay, so saya buat apa? Saya substitute dulu. Betul? Kemudian baru saya susun. Memudahkanlah urusan saya. So sekarang kita akan pergi ke soalan yang seterusnya. Okay, soalan yang tentang show. Saya pick soalan ini sebab so pelajar kita dia jumpa soalan macam ni, biasanya dia buat apa? Dia buat dy dx, dia buat dy dx. Dia dah terlatih. Okay, dia dah terlatih. So bila dia dah terlatih, itu yang paling bahaya. Sebab apa? Dia pun tak tahu kenapa dia silap. So apa-apa pun, ingat baca soalan, teliti soalan, ikut arahan soalan. So kebiasaan kita buat dy dx, dy dx. Kalau untuk soalan ni, you tengok betul-betul di sini. Dia cakap apa? Dia kata dx dy. Faham? Differentiate x respect to y. Bermaksud dia terbalik. Keadaan biasa kita adalah dy dx. Betul? dy dx. Maksudnya jumpa y, add on dy dx. Jumpa x, buat macam biasa. Itu keadaan yang biasa. Yang banyak latihan kita buat macam ni. Tetapi untuk soalan ni, dia kata apa arahan dia? Dia kata jumpa x, you add on the dx dy. Jumpa y, you differentiate macam biasa. Okay? So untuk soalan ni, buat remark, dia terbalik situasi dia. Biasanya kita buat dy dx, yang ini kita buat dx dy.
So if y is equals to x plus e to the power of x, show that the situation is equals to 0. So kindly refer to the questions, and then notice that here we have dx dy. So meaning that we have to differentiate the situation with respect to y. So in this part, meaning that when we deal with y, we have to differentiate as usual. If we deal with x, we have to add on dx dy. So differentiate y, we will have 1, because the situation is respect to y. equals to, if we differentiate x, we will have to write down 1 and then dx dy. Plus, differentiate exponent x, we will have e to the power of x. Focus on the power. It is a x, so we have to add on dx dy.
Okay, so seperti saya dah sebut tadi, you jumpa y, you buat macam biasa. You jumpa x, you kena add on dx dy. Okay, sebab ini adalah arahan soalan. So sekarang kita dah dapat dah, apa yang kita perlu buat adalah kita perlu ringkaskan, kita perlu susun semula ke, macam mana ke, tengok keadaan. Yang penting mesti kena show keadaan di sini.
Next, factor the dx dy. So we will have 1 is equals to dx dy bracket 1 plus ex. Differentiate for the second time. Or kindly modify the situation. So we will have dx dy equals to 1 over 1 plus ex. Or we can say dx dy equals to 1 plus ex to the power of negative 1. So next we are going to differentiate for the second time. If we differentiate dx dy for the second time, we will have the second derivative equals to, differentiate the situation, so we will have negative 1 bracket 1 plus ex to the power negative 2. Differentiate the internal function, so meaning that differentiate 1, we will have 0. If we differentiate e to the power of x, we will have ex. Since this one is respect to y, so meaning that we have to add on dx dy. So simplify the situation, so we will have the second derivative equals to negative exponent x over 1 plus ex power 2 dx dy. So next, check on the situation in the questions. So what we have to do now is to multiply with the situation, so which will be second derivative is equals to negative e to the power of x over 1 plus ex bracket square. So kindly refer dx dy. So actually dx dy is equals to 1 plus e to the power of x power negative 1. Or we can say 1 over 1 plus ex. So if we substitute, we will have 1 over 1 plus ex. So if we multiply, so we will have second derivative equals to negative ex over 1 plus ex to the power of 3. So rearrange the situation and we will have the second derivative plus ex over 1 plus ex to the power of 3 equals to 0. So now we already shown the situation.
Okay, so akhirnya kita dah bincang soalan ni, dah selesai. So tadi saya kata buat remark kan, betul tak? Okay, so sekarang saya nak buat summary lah untuk topik differentiation ni. Kita masih ada satu bahagian lagi. Okay, satu bahagian lagi. So sepanjang ini, slot pertama kita bincang apa? Iaitu 9.1. Iaitu first principle dengan first derivative. Okay, first derivative at a certain point, iaitu dy dx. Macam mana kita dapat dy dx? Boleh? Apa maksudnya dy dx? Itu adalah bahagian pertama lah. Okay, so bila kita dah faham bahagian pertama tu, 9.1, barulah kita tahu, oh rupanya kita nak differentiate, contoh y equals to x square. Kita differentiate dia respect to x, kita dapat 2x. Boleh? Dan seterusnya. Kemudian bahagian kedua, iaitu rules of differentiation, di mana ada 9 kotak. Betul? So yang pertama, kita ada constant. Yang kedua, kita ada polynomial. Yang ketiga pun polynomial. Yang keempat, product rule, quotient rule, chain rule. Betul? Seterusnya nombor 7, kita ada exponent, kita ada ln, hanya ln saja ya. Okey, yang terakhir trigo. So, kita pun mulalah dengan example. Masih sama, bahagian kedua, example. Contohnya, constant, polynomial, product rule, quotient rule, pemilihan strategi dan sebagainya. Betul tak? Anda perlu tengok semulalah. So, dah siap bahagian 2, 9.2. At the same time, kita pergi pula 9.3, iaitu macam mana nak differentiate exponent, banyak-banyak contoh, betul? Macam mana nak differentiate ln. Soalan yang bukan ln, macam mana kita tukar jadi ln. Maksud saya, diberi log base yang lain. Kita perlu tukar. Bila kita deal with law ini, biasanya dia akan kaitkan dengan law atau rules of law. Okay, so teruskan dengan trigo. Ada banyak contoh kita bincang tentang trigo. So you boleh tengok semula lah. So itu adalah 9.3, bahagian ketiga, 9.3. Selepas itu kita bincang tentang apa? Tentang implicit differentiation. So di situlah saya ajar you macam mana nak guna product rule itu, iaitu tricks dengan tips tu. Okay, kalau boleh cuba elak daripada quotient rule, pergi ke product rule dan seterusnya. Kita buatlah banyak contoh. So bila kita dah siap implicit, kita bincang soalan pasir. Betul? Ada banyak soalan pasir saya dah bincang. Anda boleh rujuk semula. Okay, dengan macam-macam situasi supaya anda boleh tambah pengalaman lah. So selepas ini, makna dia you boleh jawab dah soalan pasir untuk chapter 9. Ada banyak soalan pasir chapter 9. Dengan merujuk kepada pasir yang saya bincang dalam PPT. So rajin rujuk. Okay, so sehinggalah sekarang. Okay, iaitu slot ini. Iaitu 9.4 dah kira tamat dah. Okay, so dalam slot ini saya bincang tentang apa pula? Bagaimana nak show. Okay, bagaimana nak show dengan situasi-situasi yang ada. Ikut arahan tu, teliti ke arahan tu dan ikutlah dia punya flow itu. So dah boleh kira habis dah untuk differentiation ini. So kita masih ada satu slot lagi, iaitu tentang parametric differentiation. Itu adalah bahagian yang lagi satu. Nanti saya bincang. So kalau dah faham, dah selesai, macam biasa, lengkapkan you punya buku panjang dan itu saja untuk slot ini. Terima kasih.